Hello everyone, thank you for joining. Welcome to the Securing Your Sites webinar. We're really excited to have you guys today to talk about how you can secure your websites with HTTPS and SSL. So we're really excited to get
all those buzzy letters.
all the buzzy letters that make your site a secure and happy place for your visitors to go. Right. All right. So let's let's get started. You can hear there's a couple voices here. So let's introduce ourselves. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Cody Zimmer. I'm the education manager here. You see me on most of the webinars that we do, a lot of videos that we make, support articles, that sort of thing. So I do a lot of that stuff here. And with me today, I've got both Steven and Russ. Steven is our content marketing manager. Go ahead and say hi.
Yep. Hey, how's it going, guys? I am the content marketing manager. If you guys have been on all of these, and you would have seen me on one or two of them before. But also, you'd probably be familiar with all the blog and sort of white label articles and everything that we write for you guys, as far as like the handout pieces and a bunch of stuff, all our email communications. That's me.
Yeah, Steven is the main voice and drive behind a lot of our marketing efforts, so he's very well versed on a lot of stuff. And we've also got Russ, who, man, nobody knows the product better than Russ, in my opinion.
Well, thank you, Cody. Yeah, good to be here with you guys today. Looking forward to talking about certificates and HTTPS and why this is important for the web.
Cool. Yeah, so I think we actually have an agenda here. I can hold the next slide. So yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with DDoS, we are going to cover who we are really quickly. We'll talk about exactly what SSL is. You guys may have heard this before as SSL, HTTPS. What exactly are we talking about when we say securing your websites?
HTTPS too.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about what this means for you, for your website, what effect this actually has on you, your website, and your visitors. I'll show a demo of how to apply this with DDoS. And then we'll bring together some conclusions, and as always, we'll save time for questions and answers at the end. So as we go through, if you have any questions, feel free to just type them on into the questions box, and then me and Russ and Steven will do our best to answer them at the end of the webinar. And just to let you guys know, this webinar is being recorded, so we will send out a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to watch the recording of the webinar and download the deck if you guys are interested in that as well.
Yeah. So let's jump in.
Let's do it, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about DDoS first. So as you guys probably know, DDoS is a responsive website building platform. We mainly focus on servicing web professionals, agencies worldwide. We started 6 years ago now as a mobile website builder primarily. Then we started doing responsive websites with that strong mobile background, and now we've got over 9 million sites on the platform, which is pretty crazy. We're headquartered here in Palo Alto, California, beautiful sunny Palo Alto, right here in Silicon Valley, and our developers and R&D is all in Tel Aviv, Israel. And as you can see, we've partnered with a lot of
world-class companies.
World-class companies.
A lot of names that you'll probably notice or recognize, and then a few that you probably won't, but that's fine.
So that's a little bit about us. Let's move to the next slide. So free SSL. You didn't tell me this was going to be free.
It is free, or at least at no additional cost.
Right.
So yeah, what exactly do we mean when we say we're giving away free SSL?
Yeah. So what we mean by that is any website on the DDoS platform can be visited or connected to or accessed over a secure connection at no additional cost. That's exactly what we mean. And so DDoS added the option to generate these certificates and create them for any website that's paid for and has custom domain pointed correctly over to the DDoS system or the DDoS platform that is hosting that website.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see the next slide. So it's domain verified.
Right, exactly. So these certificates that DDoS is generating today are domain verified certificates. That means that when we're generating the certificate authority, which in this case is Let's Encrypt, and we'll get into what Let's Encrypt is a little bit later,
right.
Is verifying that this website is pointed in the right direction by doing what's called a domain verification. It just says, hey, the domain is pointed to the right spot. We're confirming that. we're going to generate this certificate and authenticate that this website is who they say they are, right?
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, that's.
And so when we generate that certificate, the certificate is only valid for actually 3 months at a time when we generate it. Most certificates, when you generate them, they're valid for a year at a time, but Duda is doing it as part of the Let's Encrypt project. It's actually a 3-month timeline. But we automatically renew these, and so once they're generated, this is not something that you need to come in and renew or check a box or pay for again or anything like that. Duda is just going to automatically generate a new certificate about 2 weeks ahead of time just to make sure that we don't miss anything. We do it a little bit ahead of time, and so all of these are getting generated on the fly, and it's not something you need to worry about maintaining or updating on an ongoing basis.
All of that's in the background, guys, just so you know. Russ is giving you the technical breakdown of it, but all of that basically means is you don't have to worry about any of this once you're done. Like, you create the certificate once, and you're done.
And just to clarify, the domain verified, that's the friendly little green lock that you see in the address bar.
Yeah, exactly.
just so you guys know, like when you go to a site, you can see it's secure. You see that nice little green lock, the HTTPS. That's what your sites are going to have. That's what your customers are going to see.
Yeah.
And they're really going to trust you more. And this is provided to all of our premium sites that have a domain with no additional cost. But it's really important you have a domain because it's domain verified.
Exactly. Right. Basically, we're saying the domain is pointed to the Duda system, so we can validate that that website is it's owned by that domain essentially.
Right. Okay. Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about why Duda decided to do this.
Right. So there were a couple of things that in the conversations of getting involved with the Let's Encrypt project, which I'll talk about in a second, and doing this whole initiative that we took into consideration. One of them was we really felt that in this day and age, this is something that you should expect. No reasonable automaker today is going to sell you a car that doesn't come with locks as default. That just wouldn't happen. So why would we sell you guys websites that don't have this as default? We want it to be clear that we believe that your information is your information. It belongs to you and your customers and no one else, and you guys should feel that that is something that is just guaranteed right off the bat. So this is something you should expect from us. You should expect it from other site builders. You should just be expecting this across the web. So in implementing these changes that Russ just talked about, we also sponsor something called the Let's Encrypt Initiative, which is basically a supergroup of a bunch of different key internet players. Google's involved, Facebook's involved, a bunch of others, that have all sponsored this idea of creating SSL certificates everywhere for free and fully automated. So we wanted to put our money where our mouth was, so if you go to Let's Encrypt, you'll see our logo on there and stuff, which is all fun. But this is something that we really strongly believed in. And one of the biggest reasons, on top of just the fact that it's your right as a consumer and this is something we believed in, is secure sites are going to be the foundation of future web technologies. And I'll kick this to Russ so that he can talk about these in a little bit. But basically, right now, how this works is, generally speaking, you have to pay for an SSL certificate. Or you at least have to pay a premium with another website builder and get like their top tier plan to get it included or something like that. We didn't want to go that route because as the web gets farther down this HTTPS and SSL hole, a lot of other technologies are going to be reliant on this, and so we don't want you to have to pay for this to be able to use what's standard across the web.
Right. So what Stephen's talking to is a lot of browsers today are implementing new advanced features that can be taken advantage of only if your website has a secure connection over it.
I think we're going to get into that a little bit more later too.
Sorry, just one more thing I want to add on to what Stephen is talking about is, in general, this whole idea of having a secure website is, we think that probably every website online should have a secure connection by default.
Right.
And this is the idea of HTTPS everywhere, or secure connection everywhere. So every website that you visit, is over a secure connection so that no one listening in the middle can know what data is being passed between or know what information is being passed or shared. We're doing our part to make sure that the entire web itself is secured and protecting your privacy or your customers or your site visitors' privacy as well.
Right.
Yeah, and if you guys want to check out more about Let's Encrypt, you can check them out at let'sencrypt.org, and you can see our logo on there, like Steven was saying, and some other cool companies like Chrome, Mozilla, Cisco, EFF, Facebook. A lot of cool companies are on there, so do check that out.
Definitely.
Let's go to the next one. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how you install the certificates, right? Because this is, I think, very different on Duda than it is on some other platforms.
Yeah, right.
And so if you guys are used to doing it on other platforms, most web hosts, they actually restrict your access to install this sort of thing. So if you do buy a certificate from them, because you have to buy it at just about all of them, you're going to need usually permission or some sort of access to place that certificate or install it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time the process is something along the lines of you go and generate what's called a private key and a CSR, which stands for Certificate Sign Request, very technical thing. And then you upload that to a web or an SSL certificate authority, and then they give you some files that you can go and download that you then have to go and install on a web server. So usually that requires that you have access to the FTP or some login to them. Then you have to go and configure it, usually using Apache settings or Nginx settings. And then it's also something that you have to worry about doing every single year and renewing on a yearly basis. It's if you've ever done this for a WordPress site, you know how hard it is to go and set this up and how tedious of a process it is to set up and install SSL certificates today.
Yeah, and as a comparison with Duda, it really couldn't be easier. you literally click one button. We're going to show you on the platform here in a second. The certificate's generated automatically.
Takes about 30 minutes at most.
And as we talked about earlier, they automatically renew.
So what we're saying, guys, is it's easy. That's what we're saying.
This is really simple. Why everyone else is doing this, we honestly cannot figure out.
All right, we'll show you guys that in just a second.
Yeah, so let's talk about what this means for you. Why would you want this? Why is this important? Right.
Right.
So I think the first part is number one is, and this is the most common request that Duda got, is improved SEO, right? Google and other search engines have come out and said that your site gets a small boost from having a secure connection or an SSL certificate. It's not a major indicator, but it is a boost, and it is something you would want and is a best practice online today.
Yeah, it's still important. I mean, all these minor indicators, even if it's not major, they still add up. Just like page speed is not a major indicator, but it's a minor indicator.
Right.
Right.
No one in the history of the internet has ever said, "I want worse SEO." It's never happened.
Yeah, exactly. Visitors also get the content that you guys are intending to deliver to them, and what this means is that the connection between you and that site visitor is verified.
Yeah, exactly. This is a pretty big point to talk about. You can get into a lot of details with this.
Yeah.
Just suffice to say is your visitors are guaranteed the content that you put on there. If you're putting advertisements on your site, they're not going to be replaced by some ISP in the middle changing them, changing the advertisements on the page, or somebody trying to track your website history between different websites that you visit.
Right, there's going to be no unauthorized third party tracking you across the web and that kind of thing.
Exactly, and that's what the verification does is prove that, number one, the whole website's over secure connection, and number two, you're getting the content that you intend to deliver.
Yeah, and obviously this is a huge benefit for e-commerce, right? I mean, I think everybody understands the value there.
Yeah, I think just to cover it very quickly is making sure that any kind of private data that your visitors input onto the website, whether it's in the e-commerce system, inputting the address or credit card numbers, right, credit card information, any of that private personal information is transferred over secure connection. Visitors expect to have that green bar on e-commerce websites, so I think the benefit there is pretty obvious.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say about that, though, is that while our sites may not have been like HTTPS in the past, the checkout has always been secure.
That's right. That's
like
right.
The e-commerce checkout has always been secure, but customers don't always know that. Like, especially if they're not familiar with your store, you're not in Amazon, you're not in eBay. Like, you know, seeing that little green bar at the top, so they're like, oh, this is a secure site, this is encrypted. Okay, cool.
That little, and even if you don't know what it means, even if you have no idea what an SSL certificate is, or HTTPS, or whether a site is encrypted, if you are a customer and you see a little green lock next to a domain name, you just instantly feel better.
It's the warm and fuzzy, right?
It gives you like this sort of warm and fuzzy feeling, like somehow this just feels right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly why.
I feel safe.
I feel
go.
safe. I should engage with this website and maybe purchase from them.
Purchase lots of things.
And so for the last bullet point here, we mentioned this a little earlier. It's new technologies are going to be reliant on the fact that a website has HTTPS or secure connection enabled on it.
New technologies like what, Russ?
Like what? So one is HTTP2, which is a faster way of basically downloading websites out there. So I can tell you Chrome and Firefox both require that you have a secure connection to the website to enable this HTTP2, which means a faster downloading of the website, essentially. Also, there's technology called service workers out there. This is very technical and in-depth, but it allows a lot of background processes to be run, advanced features to be done within the browser. And basically, this enables us in the future to add in these features kind of seamlessly without having to worry about this SSL question or enabling
Whether or not it'll work.
Right.
So we can basically, in the future, give you guys cutting-edge technology. We can continue to do that without having to worry about whether or not you guys are encrypted or not.
Yeah, because it's just basically going to be a prerequisite for the future.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all worked in standard.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, that's enough talk. Let's get into the demo, right?
Yeah, right.
Very elaborate demo.
Don't tell them
Very elaborate.
Don't tell them our secret, Steven.
Right.
So guys, what I have here is I just switched over to Duda. It's a standard website builder that all of you guys are familiar with. I actually have Cody's site up in front of me now. I really should mess with it, but I'm not going to. Here, if I go under Site Settings, we'll come and see that there's a Site URL and Secure Connection button, and this is going to be available. And because Cody has successfully pointed his domain at Duda, you'll see this option is available for me to come and choose this. Enable a secure connection to the website itself, right? So what I can do is I can just come and click on Generate Certificate. Duda is just going to verify quickly that the domain is pointed to our website, and we're going to start generating that certificate. For Duda to generate it, it takes 15 to 30 minutes or so to actually do this generation because we're communicating externally with this Let's Encrypt project to do this kind of background process. So what will happen here is, as after I click this, it's going to take a little while to go and actually generate this. We will send you an email once it's done generating and it's set up successfully, but you can also come and refresh the status here.
Right, and so like a cooking show, we have another pot already pre-made.
Right. So let me go switch over to my website.
Because we don't expect you guys to sit around here for 30 minutes.
And this is my test website that I have, and I can go over here, and you can see that there is a secure connection enabled. The certificate is set up, and I can actually go and visit and see what this website looks up here in this other tab. Just click on this, and you can see that I have that nice green lock on the website itself. Right up here at the top, you can see it's a private connection. I can actually go and view the certificate details if I want to get into all those technical nitty-gritties and see, hey, look, it was generated by the Let's Encrypt Authority, when it's going to expire, says that it's valid. All that fun stuff can be done here and checked out. So
now let's go back into site settings because I think there's a couple of options with this, and we should probably explain what those are.
Yeah, exactly.
For folks too.
Yeah, so there is this little toggle button down here at the bottom that says force visitors to use a secure connection. And by default, Duda is going to turn this on for you so that whenever a visitor comes to the website, they're going to be redirected to that secure version or the HTTPS version of the website. And that's just something we're going to do by default. But if you want to make the website available over both unsecure and secure connections. Maybe you think you don't really need it in all cases, or you don't want that redirect to happen. You can come and just uncheck this box, and that'll make sure that you can visit it over an unsecure connection or a secure connection. Either will work.
Now here's the question: is there a reason to have an unsecure connection?
There are a few reasons. I think the primary one would be speed. Is that
You're going through a redirect.
Exactly, because there's two reasons. One is the redirect itself can take time, but also it is a little bit slower to load up an HTTPS site for the first time, because the browser needs to connect to that third party to verify that that domain is who they say they are, essentially. And so we're talking fractions of a second here, but it is a little bit slower.
Rule of thumb, I would say probably don't unsecure. Just leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not much downside there, obviously.
Right.
Cool. All right. So I think that's a pretty good demo. Pretty simple, I think, as we promised, right? So it'll be simple. Let's go back to the deck here. We can go back into present mode. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our conclusions and kind of where we want to leave things with this. I think the main takeaway here is that this is available right now on any responsive website that you buy or that you have connected to a custom domain.
Right. This isn't a preview webinar, guys. You all can go do this literally right after we all get off of this webinar.
Yeah, so you should probably go do it for all your sites out there.
Yeah, you just go do it. It's literally like click a button. You just grab a copy, open and just click it 15 times on all your sites, and get it all secure. And of course, this is considered a best practice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Across the industry, I think
not just by us.
Yeah,
by a lot of people.
Yeah, by a lot of people. So any websites you guys build going forward, every new site that you publish, you connect to a domain, make connecting it with a certificate part of your process.
And we really want to hammer on this. Whether you're using Duda or not, any website you build should be encrypted, because this is the way that the internet is going. So, and also this is something you should expect when buying a website. So, just take that into consideration whenever you're, using like WordPress or anything like that or whatever. Is like this is something that you should want and need, and it's really your right as a consumer.
Yeah.
To have access to this.
It kind of reminds me of, and I don't know if this is a great metaphor, but I already started talking, so I'll go for it anyway. Do you remember when Wi-Fi came out and everyone had like unsecured Wi-Fi networks everywhere? It was all like Linksys and and everything was unsecure and everything like that. Now everyone's all secure with encrypted networks and everything like that. It's the same sort of thing. Like seeing an HTTPS website, it's kind of old, Cool. All right, so that's it.
So let's get into some Q&A.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, type them in the box. Oh, before we get into questions, I do want to say there's a couple things you should check out. There's a great blog post about SSL that Stephen has put up.
It's one of the most recent ones on the blog, yeah. It'll be currently it's the number 2 one down there. If you want to learn more about this, just go to blog.dudamobile.com, and you'll see it as like the second one currently ranked on the page.
Go to let'sencrypt.org if you want to find out more about how we sponsored them and check out more about the project.
Yeah, or if you just want to learn more about Let's Encrypt and what they're all about.
Yeah, and then if you also go to the support portal, support.dudamobile.com, and you type in add HTTPS or SSL, you'll come to a tutorial article where we go over exactly how to do this.
Yes, how to click that one button.
How to click it. Hey man,
you gotta find it. You gotta find it.
People forget. What did that one switch do? You don't remember.
Right.
Cool. So let's get into some questions here. So the first one that's coming up here is from Greg Walls. How will this affect the ability to proxy the site? The short answer is that it won't. Any proxy that you set up is going to be a layer in front of your website. And so you can have this on, you can have this off, whatever you want to do. It's not going to be a problem, Greg. It shouldn't affect any kind of proxying that you're going to do with the website itself. Fleming is asking, for later, are you blocking DDoS attacks? This is kind of a side question. It's not directly related to HTTPS or an encrypted connection, but you could consider it, I guess, a security question.
Sure.
I would say that first off, the Judah platform is inherently kind of immune. Immune's the wrong word, but kind of adverse or handles DDoS attacks kind of seamlessly. Our platform scales up as we get more load from visitors and from traffic on the web in general. So if we get a DDoS attack for a specific website, we're able to scale up our platform and kind of absorb the load as it happens. That's kind of built into the way we host and manage our websites today. If it's a really bad attack, sometimes we will shut off access to the website itself. But in general, we have DDoS covered as kind of part of our service and part of our offering of hosting the websites itself, and it's not really something you should be too concerned about out there, and especially because we're hosting smaller, SMB websites that generally are not the target of big DDoS attacks.
Right. It's a really, really great answer and a really great question too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone's asking, should all the pages in a website be SSL or just the product pages? Really, when you do this, you're making the entire site secure.
Yeah.
So the whole site's secure. It's not on a page-by-page basis, and it's your entire domain that is secure.
And on a product page too, like I'm assuming he's referring to e-commerce,
yes,
that kind of thing. However, this also would apply to if you have a contact form on any other page, or anything like that. That's still information flowing back and forth between you. So it's not just the product page that you want to have really secured. It's the entire site.
Yeah. JC is asking, does this include mobile sites? And the answer is it does not include mobile sites. I think for the most part, we can't control what the desktop site is going to have for our mobile website solution. And so, we potentially could have a secure mobile site, but we felt it was much more important to have this for full responsive websites, and that's the solution that Judah invested in and built into our product today.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that was a conversation we had, guys, of as far as, because if you have a desktop website or whatever, it may very well have security certificate already built into it. You may have done that. But for the responsive websites, we felt like this was a must-do, sort of.
So Jay is asking, I wish you also have domain registration like Google Domain. Funny you should ask that.
Right. Actually, if you guys do visit that blog today to check out the Let's Encrypt piece, you'll also notice that we just put up a blog post about Google Domains this morning. We are now integrated with Google Domains. That is a domain for those of you who don't know that you would purchase through Google. It's now built into our checkout flow. So when you're going through the process of publishing and purchasing a website, you have the option to also purchase one from Google, or purchase a domain from Google. So just a side note, you should know, when you purchase that from Google, you really are doing it with Google. You're not doing it through Judah, but all of that will take place within the frame of the editor.
One of the benefits, too, of purchasing it through Google is your domain gets set up with Judah.
Right.
There's no fussing around.
We've been doing a lot of automation recently.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked that out, it's a new part of the published flow. There's actually a support article about it. Just type in "purchase a domain" into the support portal, and there's a walkthrough of setting that up with either Google Domains or with Hover. And Google Domains is our preferred vendor for that. Like Steven said, it's a separate domain, but it's all set up automatically. You buy it through them, and then you don't have to do the CNAME and the 301 redirects. You don't have to do any of that. It's just connected. And then when you're done with that, go right into the site settings and just add SSL.
SSL
generate your certificate.
Seriously, guys, that's probably days worth of work that you're just gone now.
Yeah.
Next question is Karen Day is asking, what if we only have a mobile site that points to a full site hosted somewhere else? So Karen, I think we answered this in a question or two above, was that we didn't introduce the SSL solution for mobile sites because we felt like the responsive product was the one that needs this the most. Mm-hmm. Karen Rosenberg is asking, what do you believe the money value would be for the SSL certificate? It's going to vary pretty widely.
Yeah.
When you look online, we did some research on this. It was anywhere between $60 and $500 a year that you would pay for an SSL certificate to set this up and install it out there. So if you're selling websites, like a lot of customers that are using Duda do today, is this could be something that you have as an add-on. It could be something that if your customer wants this, you say, hey, it's going to be an additional, $5 a month, $10 a month, or it's an additional $100 on the setup fee, or however you want to position this or add this on as additional service. That can be something that you choose of how you want to offer it and productize it and sell it to your customers.
Right. I should mention that also this is sort of another part of our, or at least the white label reseller program. This is a part of the philosophy is, these are the tools that we've built, but you use them in any way you want. So just because we're sitting here and our decision was we're making SSL default for everything, that's because you guys are our customers and our consumers, and we believe you have the right to that. However, if you are a web agency and you want to sell this as a premium, go right ahead. You can turn it on and off, or you can use it as a value-added service just to differentiate yourself from the competition. A pretty decent line is, hey, guess what? I'll go in and I'll build your website, and I'm going to throw in an SSL certificate for free, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good pitch. So pick how you want to use it, guys. Use it in good health.
Yeah, you do actually mention that in the blog post too. I was reading that earlier. Let's see.
Ray is asking, do we need to change PPC links from HTTP to HTTPS? So Ray, yeah, I would say yes. I think by default Google will check to see if the website has a secure connection, and they will send PPC visitors or people who click on an ad from Google search to the HTTPS version of the website by default. But as just a best practice, when you're setting up the campaign, I would put in the HTTPS version of the URL.
Mary's saying this is one more reason that she loves Duda, and we love you too, Mary.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This is really great. This is an interesting question from Karen. She says, does this block remarketing? I think earlier in the presentation, I think Stephen mentioned something about how this blocks unauthorized third-party people from tracking you on the web. And the key word there is unauthorized.
Right.
So there have been reported instances of non-secured sites that have had third parties, even some ISPs. I think there was some issues with Verizon doing this a little while ago.
Not to take too much of a shot at Verizon, but yeah.
Yeah, where they were tracking and injecting content into people who were posting websites on their ISP. So there's a whole thing with that, but you don't have that when you have a secure site. When you have HTTPS, it is just a direct connection between you and your site visitor, and if you choose to still advertise on your site, you put Google AdWords or you put code on there to run on your site, you can still run third-party tracking, you can still do remarketing, that will still work. It's just blocking some unauthorized party from coming in and injecting content to your site and tracking your visitors.
Okay. Fleming is asking, is it 1024-bit encryption? The answer is that it is 2048-bit encrypted connection. We do this using, I think it's the SHA-2 algorithm with a 2048 level of encryption. So.
No, wait, 2048, is that 1024
times 2? Yes.
So twice as good?
It's actually exponentially better, Cody. So.
Oh wow!
Okay, now you're just bragging. That's fine, Russ.
It's 2 to the whatever. We don't want to get into that.
So Karen Rosenberg is asking, so an email is encrypted if they do not have e-commerce. An email is...
Well, I think, so the short answer is that in general, email is not a secure method of communication. So the email that gets delivered is not really related to the secure connection to the website. That's something that happens after the fact. So we're not 100% clear on the question, but the email itself would not be encrypted.
And Jay is asking if we're offering .com, .net, or etc. custom domains. To be clear, Duda does not sell domains. You can purchase domains from Google, like Stephen was saying, through the publish flow, or from Hover. And while you're technically inside Duda's website, you're actually purchasing it from Google or from the other providers. So we're just kind of giving you access to them.
We're just making it easier to find them.
Yeah. And the benefit to doing that is that Google will then set up your domain to work with your Duda website automatically, or Hover will do the same thing.
Yeah. So Ken is asking, if SSL restricts tracking across platforms / between websites, how does always on affect analytics? So what Ken is referring to here, guys, is what's called the referrer header, which basically means that if somebody clicks on a link from one website to another website or to your website, often as part of the SSL setup, the referrer value is often lost. So this should be something that, if you're really expecting and relying on the referring traffic as kind of a metric, then maybe you don't want to go the route of enabling SSL on your website. But in general, I think it's a pretty good benefit to have the security on the website itself. But Ken, yeah, you're right. There's not much Duda can do to change how browsers act and add that referring URL into the analytics.
Tom's asking if there will be a replay link, and yes, there definitely will be. We're going to go ahead and email out a link to the replay. To everyone who registered or attended, you'll receive that email tomorrow, along with a link to the other resources we mentioned.
Yeah. Rick is asking, do I need to change any of the redirects at the host on currently for published websites? And the short answer is no. Duda will handle all of the correct redirects and make sure that your visitors get the secure connection of the website.
Cameron's got an interesting question. He says, is every website getting its own certificate, or do we all share one big Duda certificate? Well, you're each getting your own certificate.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're generating it unique for you.
Yeah, it takes 30 minutes to generate.
Yeah, exactly. This is not one big shared. Each website is getting its own domain DV level certificate. Yeah.
Rick is asking if we have any branding SSL badges to display. We don't have any assets for that, but
we can look into that.
I mean, I can talk to some people.
Yeah.
Steven knows a guy.
I'm the marketing manager. I'll talk to some people.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, sure, guys. I'm sure we can figure out something.
Yeah. Great feedback. Thanks, Rick. David's asking, won't have unsecure and secure create duplicate content to take away from the main site's domain authority? Also, is the redirect from non-secure to secure a 301?
David, so for the first part of your question about duplicate content, no. Google is smart enough to know that as long as it's on the same domain value, it's whether it's rust.com or HTTPS rust.com, essentially. It's the same website and it's the same content. They're not going to consider that duplicate content in any way. And second, the redirect from non-secure to secure is a 301. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, good question. Let's see. I think we covered that one, right? So HTTP, all right. If we have a mobile version of a site in Duda, is it useful to create the certificate and the desktop version doesn't have it?
If you have a desktop version of a website that is not encrypted, it is always a good idea to encrypt it.
Yes.
That would be my short answer to that.
Yeah, but Duda has less control over that.
We have less control over that, but we would still encourage you to go do
it. I like Rick's next question here. Are there any gotchas or any reasons not to do this?
No.
Really, that's a really short answer, Rick. Good question, and that is a fair thing to ask, but the short answer is no.
Yeah.
This was one of those times where we really wanted to just do something that genuinely we believed in, and also made your guys' lives easier, and just really should be something that everyone is doing by default, and we don't know why they're not.
Correct.
So we took matters into our own hands.
Yeah.
Okay, so Christina's saying, why is the option not available when you have a custom domain? Is that a responsive site versus a mobile site?
I would say, if it's not available right now, shoot us an email or shoot the support team an email and have them take a look, and they'll clarify for you directly. It should be there today. If it's not, just we'll get it fixed pretty quickly, I'm sure.
Yeah, so Hill and Scott, you're asking if we're going to share the deck and the recording, and yes, we will.
Tim is asking, do I need to worry about updating links to my existing website, or will these automatically redirect? The answer is they will automatically redirect. I would not worry about going back and fixing any links on old websites or anything like that. It should be good to go, all backwards compatible, all that fun stuff.
Right. Once again, that's a part of this whole automation thing that we put into play. We really wanted to make this easy, guys.
Yeah, Marjorie's asking, will this be available for all your websites or just the premium website customers? This is available for all premium websites that have been connected to a domain.
Right.
Yes.
That is the key phrasing there, is connected to domain.
Right, which means you do have to have a paid website as part of that,
Right.
because a custom domain is on a paid tier inside of Drupal.
Right. So if you had a free website, it would just go to a very generic
Yeah, URL.
URL.
It'd be like Russ's website.duda1.com.
Right.
See, Cameron's asking, I use Duda1 for building sites for landing pages to be fast loading on mobiles. Won't the SSL make it slower to load each page on mobile?
So Cameron, in general, the only slowdown that you would have when is the first time the visitor comes to connect to the website itself. We're talking about a very small slowdown just because it has to do this SSL negotiation and verify the certificate. So that's going to depend on things like the browser connection and what phone they're using and all this type of different stuff. But in general, it won't change. Changing pages or the speed of loading any other content is not going to change on the website itself. It's just that initial connection. I wouldn't say it's any slower or any faster than it is before.
And also, if you're using your landing pages and trying to get them to rank organically or anything like that in some way, you have to also balance that against there is a minor SEO benefit that comes with putting on SSL as well.
Robin's asking if the site is already HTTP now, and if that gets cached in the computers, is it still going to redirect to HTTPS?
Yes, it will.
Yes, because we're forcing it. We're forcing a redirect.
Yes.
This is fun. We're having a lot of yes/no answers.
It's Fleming is saying great solution. Thank you, Fleming. I think you're a great webinar attendee.
Rick asked, will this help with DDoS attacks? We answered this a few minutes ago. The short answer is it doesn't really change anything with DDoS attacks inside of the Duda platform. It's our standard answer is that we're going to handle those DDoS attacks as they come in and as we see them.
Can you write the URL on the blog you just mentioned? That would be blog.dudamobile.com.
Yep. Yeah, not everyone.
If you go to dudamobile.com, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner there's blog.
I have a different screen set up this feature. Is that possible? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Screen. Mario, looks like you're asking you have a different screen. Just shoot an email to our support team and we'll take a look, or send them a screenshot so they can try and clarify with you.
Do you need to do anything at the domain registrar to effect a redirect of HTTP? Thanks, Ray.
Ray is asking. No. You don't need to change anything. If you already have a domain or a website set up that's been set up for a month or 2 months or whatever, you just need to go and click on that generate button and we'll create it. You need to make no changes on the domain registrar side.
Sensing a theme.
Cameron's asking if you generate SSL for a site, does that SSL then get used across the e-commerce checkout of the site?
So, Cameron, for the most part with our e-commerce solution, when somebody goes to check out and actually pay for a product or for an order, they're going to get redirected to a third-party service or a secure hosted payment page to handle that actual payment process or transaction. And so that usually happens, on PayPal or on Authorize.net or whatever payment provider you're using. But it also means that the website itself that they were originally on, that they originally browsed all the products on, would be over a secure connection too. So it just makes kind of an end-to-end secure setup rather than just secure at checkout.
Yeah. See, Rona has a great question here. How can I change to Duda 1? Well, I love this question. Number one. Yeah, just head to dudamobile.com and click the.
There's a create your website now button.
Yeah, create website now. Thank you.
Right.
Create your website now button, and you can get started. Check out the templates we have on Duda 1, and build your site. If you already have your website somewhere else, you already have a website existing somewhere else, there's a number of templates that will let you import the content directly into the template, and there's a number of contents you can just get started playing around with, and then you can import your content later if you want to.
Right.
Yeah, it couldn't be easier.
And if you're selling websites, we have a whole program based around that as well called the Dude Pro Website Reseller Program, which is also can be found on the website pretty readily. Right. You can find all the information and sign up for a free trial.
Yep. Leanne is asking, should we notify Google about this, about the change to HTTPS for indexing? No. Actually, a few months back, Google came out and said outright that they will attempt to crawl your website over a secure connection first, and then if you do not have a certificate installed, they will fall back on the unsecure version. So by default, Google is going to be trying to crawl your website over secure connection. You don't need to tell them that. They're just going to do that by default.
Let's see, Audra is saying, Google quit indexing my site after installing an SSL certificate. Webmaster warnings on every page, the sitemap URL is blocked by robots. When will this be resolved? I had to remove my certificate. I have a client that requires SSL, and I'm afraid to make his site live due to this issue.
It looks like, Audra, it looks like this is an open issue that you already have. Looks like Brian replied to you in the questions here. But it looks like I think we'll be resolving your issue pretty soon. If not, shoot an email to our support team and make sure that they're aware and on top of this and get you an ETA there.
Can we talk a little bit about what may have been happening with that? Like, that sounds, I would think if you were listening to that, that might sound a little disconcerting.
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't know without looking into it myself. If I had to guess, maybe Google was trying to index the HTTPS URL without the www on it. And so it was not getting the right certificate in the right time. And so we just need to correct what URLs are inside of the sitemap itself, would be my guess there. But I'm not sure without looking deeply into it.
Of course, yeah.
And it's something that Duda can absolutely fix and make sure is okay. Yeah.
Cool. So you go around saying this is awesome. That's awesome. Phil's saying, will tablets be included?
Due to responsive websites are available on tablets, and the SSL certificate will apply to the entire website. Therefore, it will include tablets.
As well as mobile.
Right, as well as mobile.
Let's see, George is saying, hello guys, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, George. Hi, Russ. Thanks for having lunch with me.
At WHD. Hey George, how are you? Good to see you in here.
But you had lunch with Russ?
I know.
Wow. Did he have egg salad? I bet he had egg salad.
I did not.
Oh.
Anyways, his question is, another case where you might want to have ask off or is this code hosted from a non-SSL site? Okay. What George is saying is that if you try and use a third-party plugin inside of your website, so maybe you're installing some tracking code, or you're installing maybe like an iframe code or some kind of embeddable code that you're adding in there, you want to make sure that that code also has a secure connection enabled as part of that. If you don't, then it may not load on the secure version of the website itself. This is kind of one of those edge cases where if you're using something that's kind of non-standard to the Duda system and it's not secure itself, then it won't load on a secure website itself because browsers block that from happening.
That's a good side note.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up, George.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good thing to address.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I think Stephen just covered this, but yeah, Duda One works on all three, desktop, tablet, and mobile.
Right.
Sonu's saying they mentioned HTTP 2. This is my first time hearing this. Would you please explain it a little more? Thanks. Yeah, let's explain HTTP 2.
So HTTP 2 is fundamentally it's a protocol of which all the data gets transferred between your browser and the web server itself. So it's just how that information passes between either your computer or your phone and the server that you're downloading it from.
Yeah.
And so HTTP 2 is a more efficient way of downloading a website or downloading all the assets of a website out there today. Basically, it does it over one connection instead of many connections, which is a lot faster and more efficient way of doing it. It's a new technology that's rolling out across the industry right now. DUDA is looking to add this in the future. We don't have it today, but by having secure websites right now, it's a fundamental base to allow us to enable it in the future.
Well, are there browsers that are already supporting this? So like, does Chrome
Yes, Chrome does this. Firefox does this already. Safari as well.
Are there any major sites that are serving off HTTP2?
There are many major sites that are serving off HTTP2. Google is one of them.
How can you tell? Like, it doesn't say.
It does not say anywhere. You have to open, your developer tools to go and check out what type of connection it's over. But I think something about 25% of websites today are using HTTP2, and then only some browsers support this. And also, if it's not a secure website, it's not going to do that. So you go to Amazon, Amazon's not secure by default when you visit it. So that's not going to be over HTTP2. So it's just this kind of the future of websites is HTTP2, and it allows things to be faster in general.
Which kind of goes along with our whole creed.
Yes.
I'm trying to speed things up.
Mark is asking, just looking around, I see that Amazon.com has a green little lock, but Samsung.com doesn't. I checked several big law firms that did not have the lock. I run a small law firm. Should I add SSL on my website? Yes.
That's a really simple one.
Mark, I think the answer is, look, on the website itself, having an SSL certificate would not be a hard requirement to taking the website live or using it. But adding it in and having an SSL or a secure connection is never a bad thing, right? It tells visitors to the website that you're a legitimate business. It gives a little more authority to the website itself. And for a law firm, I think having those warm and fuzzies and having a good connection right out of the box is probably a good thing.
And it ensures that nobody has screwed with the content on your site, which I can imagine as a law firm is probably a pretty important thing.
Yes, you want your website to say what you want it to say.
Right.
Nabu was saying that Google Domains is only available in the U.S., not in Canada.
That is true. You can only they only accept U.S. credit cards today.
Oh, okay.
So that's on Google.
Yeah, that's on Google. That's not on DUDA.
Yeah, sorry guys, we can't do much about that one.
I can tell you they are looking to add this, I think, probably later in the year is what we heard from them. So it is on their radar. They do know about this, but Google is looking to change that.
Selena is saying that she spent over $400 getting SSL from Komodo.
Yeah.
Because I have a rural address and also just had to pay for a lawyer to verify my identity.
Yeah, so Talena's talking about some of that verification process. And we mentioned early on was that DUDA is doing a domain level verification, which is kind of the easiest and most basic level of verification that you can do for a website. And Talena had to go through some of these more complicated verification processes where you have to verify that you're a business and that you're getting the certificate for a certain reason, and they want to see like your incorporation letters and get into all these kind of details. DUDA has a slightly lower level of verification, so we don't need to go through all of those steps and kind of pain processes of setting up this SSL certificate. But Talena brings up just a good point of some of the hassles and pain that you do go through sometimes when setting up and trying to get a valid SSL certificate.
Yeah, because just to be clear, there are a few different levels of certificates, right?
Yeah.
And so Talena was going through like a more involved and more in-depth level. But really, I think like if you look at the benefits from being not secure at all to having domain level certification or verification on your site versus domain level versus organizational level, I think you're seeing a lot of benefits going from non-secure to secure with DB level verification.
Yeah, exactly. So what they're referencing here is you see in the browser up here that this has a green bar. It's a very basic green bar. This is just DUDA site that we have. That means it's a secure connection itself.
Right.
But there are higher levels. So if I go to, this is just the website I know off the top of my head is GRC, you see it has this very big green bar, right? This means it's an EV level certificate. EV stands for extended validation, and this guy who set it up, or GRC here, had to go through a big painful process to verify his business with his certificate authority and set up the EV. Now, this doesn't mean the website is more secure. It just means that it's a higher level of validation saying that this website is who they say they are.
Right.
Yeah, SpinRight's awesome software, by the way.
Yeah.
Save your hard drive if it ever fails.
I am a big fan as well.
Yeah, if SpinRight can't save it, then it's done. It's toast.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our questions. I think we have time for a few more. We're getting right at the hour.
Yeah.
Kevin's saying, where does the middleman spy come from? Is this on the visitor's computer or some type of malware that is infected the visitor's computer?
So Kevin, this is a great question. It gets into kind of the fundamentals of the internet. But a middleman is it's kind of this person who is spying on your connection in general. So that could be someone who's at the same coffee shop as you, who's on the same Wi-Fi network, could be considered a middleman because they can see all of your website traffic and see where it's going. And so if that website traffic is unencrypted, they can see exactly what's in that data or in those connections there today. Or it could be somebody that's at your internet provider level that has access that shouldn't have access to that connection. And so this middleman type of terminology is just somebody who is in between you or your computer and the website or the server that you're trying to visit.
I think back a few minutes ago, we had like the lawyer ask a question about whether it was worth doing for his law firm. Well, if you have like a contact form on your site, maybe to get appointments or something like that from new people, and that your potential new customers at a coffee shop submitting a contact form unencrypted, there could be some guy there checking it out. You never know. I would think as a lawyer, you definitely want that encrypted, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I would think so.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Encrypted is better than unencrypted.
Right.
that's just what you should have, is agree to that. Well, let's see. Okay. Once the certificate has been issued and approved, do you have to republish the site? No, you don't.
It's just installed automatically right onto the live website.
Yeah. You know, just I think we're.
Karen Day is asking, do we need to update our Google Analytics accounts to HTTPS? No, you should not. Google will know that still website traffic is website traffic, and you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, I just checked my site actually, and it's secure now. So.
Brad is saying, I completed the laborious task of clicking a button to activate SSL when you showed it to us the first time a few minutes ago, and it's already active.
Well, we really are sorry you had to go through all of that to click that button. Right, you know, and wait a few minutes. We really do apologize, Brad, but thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. Need to think and test your solution. I'm cool. Fleming. All right, cool.
We fully believe you are.
Young is asking, how do you secure chat agents on websites like Tawak2 or Liver Person? So when Young's talking about installing a third-party plugin or a chat service onto the website, and that's going to be something that's going to be reliant on that chat service themselves. And so they will usually, you have an embed code that loads in this third-party software into the website, essentially. And it's going to be reliant on them to secure that, you know, that chat communication is a secure connection between their service and the chat or the person on the website or visiting the website itself. It's not really related to DUDA in any way there.
Mm-hmm. When a visitor moves from the general secured website pages to the shopping cart checkout pages, are they moving from one SSL to another SSL? If so, can this trigger a security warning to the user?
Yeah, Cameron. So to answer your question is potentially yes, it could. Because what happens is if you're on a DUDA e-commerce site, you add products to your cart, you go and check out, and that checkout's going to be redirected to another website. And that website's going to have a completely different certificate than that's on your site hosted with DUDA. So potentially it'll cause an SSL warning because their certificate on that payment provider could be invalid. This is a very rare scenario that we're talking about, and it's not something that'll happen. But yeah, potentially it could happen because it is two different websites and 2 different checkout processes that's going on there.
Right.
Phil's asking, do you need to change the domain name from to HTTPS in AdWords?
Yeah, we answered this a little earlier as
Yeah,
part of the PPC campaign.
Okay.
It's a best practice to say, yeah, go ahead and change it when you set up these AdWords campaigns. But I think by default, Google will detect that it is HTTPS and send visitors to the HTTPS connection immediately.
Okay, Fleming is literally posting soccer scores now. We're not getting
Priorities, Cody. Priorities.
sports updates to our questions feed.
Ray is asking, when we build a new site in Duda, do we need to turn on SSL separately? And are there any changes in the DNS process? So Ray, to answer your question backwards, number one, there's no change to the DNS setup process. You're still going to go and point your domain to the Duda platform where the website is hosted. And then after it is successfully pointed to Duda, you will need to come in and enable SSL on the website after that, or once the domain is successfully pointed. So as you know, setting up DNS, it can take a little while to point it correctly, which is why Duda didn't know when to generate the certificate, which is why you need to come into Duda and click on Generate the certificate.
Let's see, for your e-commerce, should you incorporate Square as for payment as well, please? Is something that others are incorporating, and it's very desirable since it's the first two of something for small
very
business.
flexible for small businesses.
Yeah, John, we're looking into Square for our e-commerce solution. We know it's very popular. They actually just released their online payments API about 6 months ago now, so it's fairly new from the Square side. It's not something they've always had. So we are looking at this, but I don't have a timeline for you.
Yeah, if it's any consolation, PayPal is doing their best to copy Square. So there's a lot of features that they've emulated that Square has had. So now we've got Oren is arguing with Fleming about Faroe Islands or Iceland for soccer. So we're just going to move past that. Is it possible to add more than one domain name to a 2-to-1 site, which I like? It has the option of being on permanent 3-to-1 or running as a separate domain and not redirecting to a primary domain. How do we SSL with a site that has 2 domains delegated to it?
So Cameron, today Duda is only going to generate a certificate for the primary domain of the website. We are not going to generate multiple certificates for all of those different domain values that you might have set up. And so if you are using SSL, we would strongly recommend that you use the 301 redirect option and not render the website under the domain itself. So basically, is we don't generate the certificates for those additional domains, and you should just use the 301 redirect in the first place. And that's an industry best practice anyways. It's not a good idea to have one website out there on multiple domains anyways.
Just time for a few more questions here. Selena's saying, thanks guys, it took less than 10 minutes for the SSL to be active. Young is asking, why is Duda better than GoDaddy for a white label website reselling? Why should someone stop reselling GoDaddy websites and move to Duda to resell websites? That's a really excellent question, Young. I'd say that probably the biggest benefit that Duda has is your time to market with your websites. We're going to be able to build sites much quicker than setting something up on GoDaddy using either their site builder or WordPress or something like that. It's going to take you a lot longer to create a site, a quality responsive website that your clients are going to love. With Duda, you're going to cut your development time in half. I mean, to be honest with you, over using a CMS like WordPress.
Yeah. Additionally, just to add on to what Cody's saying, we offer a lot of the white label tools that you just won't get out of GoDaddy's website building tool set today. So things like allowing your customers to come in and edit the website, receiving email statistics on a weekly basis, the full white labeling of the platform under your brand and your domain, setting up folks under your users and permissions so you can give them access to only certain features inside of the platform is going to be a huge benefit over GoDaddy right there today. If you have questions, Young, reach out to our team, schedule a one-on-one, and they'd be happy to discuss that in more detail with you.
And Cody and Russ also forgot SSL is not included.
Yeah.
Right.
If I have to enable third-party tools on my site, such as Bcita, to manage scheduling, are any additional steps needed to ensure that those sites keep working after I enable my SSL certificate?
Allison, this will just require a little bit of testing. Some of the times those third-party tools will work out of the box, and you won't need to worry about it. But sometimes, if the third-party tool does not have a secure connection enabled as part of it, you might need to go and either ask them if they have a secure option or a way to embed it on a secure website itself. That's something you should just kind of test a little bit as you're launching the website and try and figure out.
All right, Cameron has yet another really detailed question, and like Cameron, you have asked like several really good questions.
Yeah.
I'm actually really impressed. When setting up a custom domain, I much prefer to create an A record for the root domain and point it to Duda's IP address rather than creating a redirect to the CNAME with the www, which is the normal setup. Will setting it up this way affect using, or will it work with the SSL certificate?
So the answer is it'll be fine, is the short answer. Basically, when you point the A record for the base domain or the root domain, that connection will not be secured. Duda is only generating the certificate for the www value of your website. So, for example, www.rust.com is the only URL where this website will be secured under. It will not be secured under rust.com. And so what we do is we redirect any traffic to rust.com to www.rust.com by default, and that's what that root record does. And so, in essence, we're always making sure that web traffic is over that www value.
So it'll be cool?
It'll be cool.
Nice. Thanks, Russ. Thanks, guys. Super informative. Just gives us Duda Pro agencies another tool in our box. Yep.
That's right, Jeff.
Another arrow in your quiver, and I think that might be a good one to. Okay, no, we'll keep going. That's good.
We'll do one more question here. Last question from Ray is, my understanding is that Google is giving preferential SEO treatment to secure websites on the first page. At least that's what I heard. Yes, Google has come out and said that they do prefer to see secure websites over non-secure websites. And so if you have two websites that rank the exact same for a search term and one's secure and one isn't, they are going to put the secure website above the one that's unsecure on the web page.
Yes. So I see there's a few more of you asking if there's a replay. Some of you are having to take off, but you want the replay tomorrow. Like Garrick. Yep, we're going to send out an email tomorrow to everyone who registered with a link to watch the replay, download the deck, etc. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming. Thank you so much for coming to the webinar and listening to me and Russ and Steven talk about security and why you need it and should get it right now.
Woo!
and why this is something you're entitled to.
Yes, exactly.
And you should know that.
All right, guys. Thanks,
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.